The laughter hit before she reached the table. Not warm, not friendly. The kind that travels and lands exactly where it's meant to. Her husband was in the center of it, smiling. When he saw her, he looked away, like she didn't belong there, like she was staff. She didn't say a word. The Hartwell Foundation Gala was not a party. It was a negotiation in evening wear. Every person in that room controls something: a board seat, a development contract, a city council vote. Felicia knew that. She had worked that room for 6 years before she ever brought Patrick into it. Tonight was different. Tonight, Patrick had been invited not as her guest, but as a featured speaker, a last-minute addition to the program. Someone on the committee had thought it would be a wonderful balance to have a voice from the private sector. No one in that room knew his firm had been running on her money for 3 years. She had said nothing when they announced it. She had smiled, taken her seat, ordered sparkling water. But when the man in the gray suit, Derek Queston, senior partner at Hartwell's led investment firm, leaned across the table and said, "Your husband is quite the personality. You must love having someone like that carry the conversation." Felicia set down her glass very slowly. "I manage." Derek laughed like she'd made a joke. She hadn't. This is Golden Heart Stories, where dignity doesn't beg, and power doesn't announce itself twice. Stay with us. Patrick found her between the appetizers and the program start. He looked relaxed. That was the thing about Patrick, he always looked relaxed in rooms that cost other people everything to enter. "You doing okay over here?" he asked, like she was the one who needed checking on. "Fine. Derek's a good contact. I think tonight could be big for the firm." Felicia looked at him. "Your firm?" "Our firm." He smiled, touched her arm. "Don't be like that tonight, Fel. These people respond to—" "To what, Patrick?" He lowered his voice. "To warmth. To partnership. You go cold in these rooms and it reads." "It reads what?" He didn't finish. Someone called his name from across the room. He straightened his jacket and walked toward it without answering her. She watched him go. 11 years. She had written the check that launched that firm, signed the lease on the office, called into personal favors to get him his first client. And right now, in this room, Patrick moved like a man who had built something from nothing, and she was the temperature problem. A woman named Audrey, one of the foundation's board members, appeared at Felicia's elbow, quiet, steady. "He does that a lot?" Audrey asked. "Only in public." Audrey looked at her for a moment. "You know they're announcing the Hargrove contract tonight." Felicia went still. "The board finalized it this afternoon." Audrey continued. "Patrick's firm is on the shortlist. His presentation is at 8. Felicia said nothing. She already knew what she had to do. The program began at 7:45. Patrick was introduced as a visionary entrepreneur and community investment leader. The room applauded. He was good at this: the pause before he spoke, the self-deprecating opener, the way he made a room feel like it had discovered him. Felicia sat at the table and watched. Then the moderator, making what he clearly thought was charming small talk, gestured toward her, and of course, behind every great man, Patrick laughed. He actually laughed. "She keeps me humble," he said into the microphone. Smiling at her like this was a compliment, like the room wasn't watching her absorb it. A few people chuckled. Felicia didn't move, didn't blink, didn't give them a single thing to read. But Derek Queston, to seats down, leaned over and said, quiet enough that only she could hear, "He's something else. You must be so proud." And something in Felicia's chest went completely, utterly calm. At 8 o'clock, the Foundation's executive director took the podium to announce the Hargrove Community Development contract, a $42 million deal, the largest in the Foundation's history. Patrick straightened in his chair. "Before we confirm the selected firm, The director said, "We want to acknowledge a late development that the board reviewed this afternoon." Patrick's smile stayed fixed. "It came to our attention that Caldwell Consulting, one of our shortlisted firms, carries a significant debt structure tied to a private capital agreement. Our bylaws require full financial disclosure from all contract recipients." She paused. The primary lien holder on Caldwell Consulting's operating capital came forward this afternoon to provide that disclosure. The room was quiet. "The lien holder," the director continued, "is Felicia Caldwell." Every head turned. Felicia did not look at Patrick. She looked at the director and gave a single composed nod. Patrick's face had gone the color of the tablecloth. As the majority creditor of record, the director said, "Miss Caldwell also holds right of first review on any contracts the firm executes above $1 million. She has formally declined to extend that authorization for the Hargrove contract." Silence. Derek Weston put down his fork. Patrick turned to her. His voice came out low and steady. "Felicia, what did you do?" She picked up her water glass. "I disclosed. The contract went to another firm." The announcement was clean, professional, final. The room moved on the way rooms do, with murmurs and shifted chairs and careful eye contact between people calculating what they'd just witnessed. Patrick didn't move. Audrey refilled her own wine. Did not look at him. Derek Weston excused himself to make a phone call he apparently couldn't make at the table. Patrick reached for Felicia's arm. She didn't pull away. She simply looked at his hand until he removed it himself. "You planned this," he said. "I responded to a disclosure request." "You knew." "You've known for weeks." "I've known for 11 years, Patrick." She turned to face him fully for the first time all evening. "I just didn't say it out loud in a room full of people until tonight." He stared at her. "You called me cold," she said. "In front of Derek Weston. In front of this table." She tilted her head slightly. "How am I reading now?" He had nothing. By 9 o'clock, 2 of Patrick's pending client meetings had been quietly canceled. She would learn this later. From Audrey, who had made a single phone call during the dinner program. By 9:15, Derek Weston had returned to the table with a different energy, entirely no longer the man who thought Felicia was managing a personality. He asked her, directly, whether she'd be interested in a conversation about the Hartwell Advisory Board. She said she'd have her office follow up. Patrick watched this exchange from across the table like a man watching a door close on something he hadn't known was open. When the Gala began to empty, he found her near the coat shack. "My firm is finished," he said, not angry now, hollow. "Your firm was built on my credit, my contacts, and my silence." She accepted her coat from the attendant. "2 of those things I can take back." "And the third?" She looked at him. "I already did." The car was quiet. Patrick stared at the window. She looked straight ahead. He tried once. "I didn't mean it the way it." "I know what you meant." Silence. "I built you a platform," she said. Not angry. Factual. "I handed you rooms I earned. I smiled when you took credit, and I stayed quiet when you made me small. And tonight you did it with a microphone." He exhaled. "Felicia, I'm not asking you to apologize." "Patrick, I'm telling you what happened, so that when you try to rewrite it later, you'll remember that I was there, and so was everyone else." The car stopped. She got out first. 3 weeks later, Felicia called in the debt. Not out of anger, out of accuracy. The terms had always been clear, she had simply never enforced them. Patrick's firm restructured quietly. The way things collapse when no one is left to hold them up. She joined the Hartwell Advisory Board. She did not replace what she had given him. She redirected it toward a mentorship fund for black women entering commercial real estate. Her name on the deed this time, no cosigner. Audrey sent flowers. Derek Weston sent a formal letter of introduction to 3 of his colleagues. Felicia read them both, set them on her desk, and went back to work. She had never needed a room to know she belonged in it. She had just finally stopped pretending otherwise. If you've ever been the smartest person in a room that didn't know it, comment below. You are not alone. Subscribe to Golden Heart Stories. New stories every week about the women who stayed quiet just long enough. She didn't burn it down. She just stopped building for someone who never looked up long enough to notice. That's not revenge, that's reclaiming. And sometimes that's everything.